name's Edward Humphreys, and obviously you already know why I'm here today. 2 months ago I had the opportunity to have lunch with Bruce and Tim. It was during that time that Tim had asked me to give what he called short presentation about how I started this business. I talked to a few people in the room this morning. I'm glad to see that there's a lot of newer agents out there because my presentation is mostly directed towards people who are just kind of entering the business. And I thought, what could I talk about? I didn't want to seem patronizing and get into the technicals, because obviously a lot of people here are way more experienced than I am. So I thought I'd talk about the fundamentals and what I wanted to hear when I started the business, or what I needed to hear, per se. I really didn't know what I was in for, and something like this takes a lot more preparation than I would have imagined. This is my first time speaking before a decent-sized audience, and I would consider it a success if just a few people walked away impacted for the better today. I took Tim on this opportunity because, well, originally I thought this would sharpen my sales saw, so to speak. But after I accepted, I couldn't help but wonder why he'd ask a 20-year-old amateur to speak to a mostly veteran sales force. Well, I came to the conclusion that this is a perfect way to prove that if I can do it, then anyone can. So early on, one of my many mentors taught me that real estate is simple, but it ain't easy. Every one of us here has the tools, resources, and know-how to be successful in this business, but that doesn't make it easy. So we all know the most important activity we can perform for our business is prospecting. And so I wanted to focus on what causes us not to do what we know needs to be done. It doesn't take an analyst to realize that the procrastination stems from a deep-rooted fear. And so I want to talk about what creates that perception of false evidence appearing real, and how we can mentally take steps to overcome the same fear that stops us in our tracks. I'm sure a few of you heard that acronym before, false evidence appearing real, fear, and we're going to get into that. Well, the title of my presentation is Inspirational Dissatisfaction. I'll go into detail in a bit what that means for me, but to truly understand its meaning, I think it's important for you to know who I am and where I come from. And Tim took care of most of my introduction. Well, I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. When I was 5, my parents divorced. I have 2 older brothers, 1 older sister, and 2 younger brothers. After the divorce, we never had one home and moved often, so that granted me to live throughout northern and southern Arizona and western Colorado. I did okay in school, but had a knack for skipping homework and just taking the test. Some would say that I didn't have the straitjacket of conformity. I was always the rabble-rouser in class. I think that was just because I struggled for that feeling of independence. So my chance came, and in the first week of my junior year in high school, I decided to drop out. I was 15 at the time. Shortly after, I moved out of my mother's house and got a job 150 miles away as an apprentice carpenter. That would be one of the 11 short-lived jobs prior to me getting in the business. Which brings me to the story of what actually led me into the real estate business. I worked for a larger corporation in western Colorado that handled business outsourcing. I was hired when I was 18. In 4 months, I was given a promotion. Another 4 months, and I was given another promotion to the head of my team. Being 19 made me the youngest on the 20-person team. We were assigned to ensure that our 400-plus representatives at any given moment were on the phone. And to measure the agent's idle time, we used a percentage called shrink. And it was due to my team's efforts that we had the lowest shrink in the corporation, which was almost 30 sites in the U.S. and Canada. So the site director asked me to go to lunch with him and another director from corporate. At that time, a floor supervisor position was opening up, which included a significant raise.